You are tuned to ARP on the Accelerated Radio Network. It's 12 noon, and it's time to have lunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Bringing money talk you can understand. And now here's your host, Miss Charlene.
Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to Lunch with the Finance Bunch, and I'm Miss Charlene. And in the studio today, we have the people who help us stay healthy and look good. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I have first with us the lady. I'll go ladies first. We have Charlotte Godby, and she is with Sweat Fitness of Pasadena. Good afternoon, Charlotte.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good.
That's good. And then our gentleman, we'll start with the one that's sitting right next to me, and that's Mario Ostios. And he is with Physical Culture LA, and he's on the west side of LA. Hi, Mario.
Hi, Charlene. Good to be with you.
And last but not least, we have a personal stylist. His name is Daniel Locke. How are you, dear?
I'm well, Miss Charlene. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so happy to have you all in the studio with me today. Today we're going to talk about physical health. We talk about wealth building and those aspects of our life that make us successful. But I think within that, we need to put our best foot forward, which is by looking good with our stylist, but also internally and physically we should be up to par too, don't you think? And so with that being said, I have two experts here to talk about physical fitness and how it will have an impact, a positive impact on our lives and give us longevity. And I also have a stylist here, Daniel, who's going to talk about some of the things that we should do to, make the best presentation that we can, because you only get one time to make a first impression. Okay, so some of the questions I have. First of all, Charlotte, as a personal trainer, what do you do as a personal trainer? Who do you train and how?
I train kids and their moms, basically. Right. I train families, and I have a lot of kids and women.
Oh, do you?
I train. Yeah.
Okay. So like with women, the women that you train, usually, especially moms, right? They've had children and they have a lot going on in their lives. They may be professional women who are dropping their kids off at daycare, dropping their kids off at school, and then they have to go to work, and they have to try to carve out this time for themselves. And so having you as a fitness trainer, you incorporate children into your workouts, and you also train their parents. Now, do you do that separately or together?
It's separately.
Okay.
I have an assistant that works with me.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a great way of doing it, though, to incorporate so that they don't have to leave the kids at home, because then you have to find a babysitter.
Right.
Right? Or you have to put them in. Some of those gyms have that room where the kids go and you see them in there tearing things up because there's nothing for them to do, right? So the way you incorporate the children and the moms together is wonderful. So how long have you been a trainer?
It will be 20 years next year.
Wow. That's amazing. So with being a trainer, a personal trainer, and I know you are your own small business because you work for yourself. And when you're training women, do you get a lot of questions from women, not only about their physical health, but also about like vitamins they should take or what their regimen should be, how much sleep they need to get? Do you get those kind of questions also?
We supplements, I don't really do that much.
Okay.
I recommend that they see a nutritionist, especially after the age of 40, because you have to know what your body's doing by then, especially if you've had babies.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you refer them to
a nutritionist. And I have several that I actually work with.
That makes sense. And Mario,
yes,
you are also a physical trainer.
Mm-hmm.
And what is your focus?
I would say in terms of the private training I do, the majority of clients I have right now are small business owners or self-employed professionals. My demographic is probably a little more of the middle-aged to later-aged man, somebody who's feeling their mortality and their aches and pains a little bit. And secondary to that, I've recently started offering workshops on pain-free movement, and both of those focuses for me kind of evolved out of necessity, and working with people, and then sometimes being faced with problems I couldn't solve, at least with my conventional advice. And I have guys say, my back's hurting, and
Right.
I don't have a mojo anymore. What are we going to do about it? I said, well, I don't know. I'll get back to you. It's Friday, and I'd spend the weekend on the computer trying to look for things. And so that's probably my focus right now, is more the middle-aged person to later-aged person, and quality of life. I don't do bodybuilding. I'm not interested in teaching people how to run marathons. It's more about how to get more out of the life they already have.
Right.
And to provide them with the physical base to pursue their dreams and passions in their career and in their personal life.
Exactly. And then Daniel, and you make us look good.
Oh, I try.
You tell us what we should and should not wear. And as a personal stylist, what is your focus?
Right now, I've been doing mostly commercials.
Okay.
A lot of commercials, a few TV shows. Last week, I just worked on a TV show. So yeah, mostly commercials and TV.
Okay. And then do you train, do you do styling for individuals also? Or?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So if I were to wanted to have you as my personal stylist, what would I have to do?
First of all, we would sit down and talk and see what your goals are, see what basically what you want to look like. And then we would talk about what you already have in your closet. We would go through what you have in your closet, make different sections of things to keep, to donate, to throw away, and then we would go shopping.
Daniel, I'm keeping you out of my closet because I want to keep everything. We're not giving anything
That's
away.
debatable.
And so, as a personal stylist, what are some of the benefits of a person dressing well or knowing how to dress? What do you think some of the benefits of that are?
I think, like the title of the show today, putting your best foot forward, especially when you're wearing Gucci shoes.
Exactly.
It definitely, first impressions are everything. And I'm a firm believer in that when you look good, you feel good, and that shows in your confidence and your demeanor. And so I think that it's very important in what you wear.
Absolutely. And I also believe that, like with Mario and Charlotte, once a person, it's all about like health building, but confidence too, right? And, when a person isn't feeling well, physically, and it doesn't have anything necessarily to do with them being sick. It could just be out of shape, not working out, you have lack of energy, and they kind of all go in a row. But when you are feeling better, and you start looking at yourself, and once these two have sculpted you into what you want to look like, and then you move forward and say, okay, well, maybe just wearing that same dress or those 3 pair of pants, I don't want to do that anymore. And they come to you. Do you start them, Daniel, with, like color, what colors you like best, or what colors look best on your skin, or, as a professional, what you should or should not wear? Do you go into that depth?
I do. I think the most important thing is fit. You need to find a good tailor and hold on to them for the rest of your life. Because I can go to a store like H&M or a Macy's and get like any suit jacket off the rack, but then if I take it to a tailor and have them fit it to my body, it can look like I spent thousands of dollars on something.
That's a great, that's a great idea, because you're right. When you buy things right off the rack, they don't necessarily fit your body the way you want them to. The sleeves are too long, or, it doesn't fit you right in the waist area or whatever. And if you do have a tailor, that is great information. I might just take you up on.
I'm available.
Okay. And Charlotte, as a physical trainer, when you meet people, I'm sure that along with building their, stamina, you're also building their confidence.
Yes.
And so what do you see most from your clients as far as that's concerned?
They get, as far as confidence
Yes.
is concerned,
Uh-huh.
they start doing more. They travel more. They
Go to the beach more.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, not necessarily.
I know, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they seem happier,
Uh-huh.
and they're very grateful.
That's good. That's good. And then Mario,
Mm-hmm.
you said you focus on, or you've noticed that you work with a lot more of middle-aged men,
Yeah,
usually.
yeah.
So by then they're, usually pretty successful,
Yeah.
and they haven't spent maybe focused any time on their health.
No, often they've neglected it because they've just been pursuing their career, and that's a common thing. And then they realize, wow, I've achieved some of the success. Now I want to actually have the physical vitality to enjoy the success.
Right, and you and I spoke about that just a little while ago when I
Mhm.
was telling you that I have a realtor friend who said just that. You get to a place in life where you are successful, but you've neglected a lot of things, and your health is one of them, because I guess as long as you can get out of bed in the morning and put your clothes on,
Until
you
you
feel
can't.
like, right, you feel like you're okay right up until you
Yeah,
can't.
yeah.
And so neglecting our physical health is very important, especially when we say we want to, I want to be wealthy, I
Mhm.
want to obtain some level of wealth. We start focusing on that and neglect the other things, our appearance, as Daniel says, and as you and Charlotte are saying, is our physical health. So what are some of the things we should do, just as a lay person, in the morning, getting up, getting started on our day? What do you suggest that how we start our day? And I'll start with you, Mario.
Wow, that's a good question. There's a lot of really well-defined information out there now on exercise, and Charlotte knows about that. Exercise routines and even things on diet, that sort of stuff. You could see a bunch of it on YouTube. If I wanted to volunteer something that maybe people aren't going to hear anywhere else, it would be context rather than content. So instead of talking about sets and reps or crunches and lunges, I'll offer a context that I've found very useful in my work,
Okay.
especially as I started to deal with my clients as they got older.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I approach getting results, especially with people who have extenuating circumstances and stubborn bodies, if you will, is to address it hormonally. I've found, and it's not just my opinion, there's actually a lot going on now in medicine that recognizes that in large measure a person's immune response, the ratio of muscle to fat on their body, and their longevity are largely governed by their hormones. And when a person hits puberty, they sexually mature and their hormones get sky high.
Right.
And they stay there for a little while, and during that time in your life, you probably look the best you ever looked. You can also
Optimum health.
and you can abuse your body more than you
Right.
ever could, drinking yourself and partying like crazy and all that stuff. But once the hormones start to decline, you lose that advantage, and the body can become less responsive to your efforts to exercise, to eat right, to do all these sorts of things. And so I started looking for the common thread that existed in various schools of thought around hormones and endocrinology. And I've tried to distill it down to maybe just 2 or 3 pointers.
Right.
So, for instance, when a person comes to me, I know, or my opinion, I've got a window of time, maybe it's a month, 6 weeks, to demonstrate I am credible in
That's right.
or they're gone.
That's right, because if I don't look wonderful in the 6 weeks, Mario,
You
that's
know, right,
it. I'm
right?
not coming back.
It largely is true.
That's
But
right.
I've stopped fighting and I've learned to accept it. So people want it yesterday. By the time they've seen me, they're not ready to start. They're ready for it to be done.
That's
You
right.
probably agree with that, Charlotte, right? They're ready for it to be over.
That's
so,
why I told Charlotte, I want to go to the beach. I want to go in
Exactly.
my favorite bathing
Exactly.
suit, right?
She's
Never
already
mind where
going
I
through her
started.
Rolodex looking for the tailor right now.
That's right.
So a couple of things that I've found to be very reliable, and candidly, realistically, it's not as if your listeners are going to chase me or chase Charlotte down.
Right.
People maybe all over the world are going to be hearing
That's
this.
right.
So if I was going to give people a couple things to consider, I would recommend taking a high-quality probiotic. And if you want to know why, your listeners can simply search the primary health benefits of probiotic. They can just do that on the internet and do their own due diligence, and they'll get a plethora of information about why that's helpful to metabolism, to mood, to energy, to also, even to long-term health and immunity. Something else that I've had wonderful success with is topical magnesium. There is a physician, her name is Carolyn Dean. She wrote a book called The Magnesium Miracle, and she has sort of become the point person in her field as a physician, being a champion of magnesium as a almost a panacea for all sorts of conditions. And a person could just, again, search Carolyn Dean, The Magnesium Miracle on the internet. A product I particularly like that almost, it's astounding how well it works, is topical magnesium. It's an oil. And I don't make any money for recommending this, by the way, everybody. So I guess that's because I'm not branding and marketing well enough. But Ancient Minerals, right? Let her know I'm on her team.
You're on her team.
Ancient Minerals Magnesium Oil is wonderful. I usually recommend those things to people. I don't really, actually, people who want my time and attention, they're going to do it,
right,
or they're not going to get my time and attention, because if they want miracles, they've got to let me have my magic wand, and my magic wand consists of 1/2 probiotics and 1/2 magnesium oil. So those are the two things I would recommend to people who want to start getting their body into better shape hormonally. In essence, those two things cause a domino effect that benefits the body in many ways hormonally.
That's great. And Charlotte, what about you? What would you recommend for someone getting started to do?
I agree with everything that Daniel said. Those two, the probiotic and getting your adrenals and hormone tested, and see where you're at nutritionally, and see if you're absorbing your food.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absorption is a big thing right now. So it's like we're not absorbing our nutrients, so we're not feeding ourselves.
Yeah, you're eating, but you're not absorbing it.
Wow, so
Right.
we're eating, but we're not absorbing the nutrients from the food.
And she's
Right.
absolutely right. The probiotics, in essence, allow you to absorb the nutrition. You get those from, well, if you were breastfed as a baby, you get those. And if you take antibiotics, they're gone. You need to be replaced.
Right.
Don't you just feel like you're hitting people over the head sometimes with that, trying to get them to get
And then,
Yeah.
the sad thing is we come to you for this advice, right? And ask you for the advice and then don't take it in a lot of cases. So to give
It takes a minute.
Yeah, because it's retraining. Because I think, what people do is, like you said, when you're young, you may not have a care about what your health is like, because, you look the way you want to in some cases, and, you have the stamina to withstand whatever it is you're doing to your body at that time. But as we age, that's not the case.
I 100% agree. I think we take our health for granted because often, and especially when we're young, it's given. It's a given. When it's gone, then we notice it.
Exactly. And Daniel, when we look at, our physical appearance, what would you say is one of the things that you are challenged by when you're trying to help people, obtain that look that, will make them present themselves in a better light?
I think a lot of times people can be intimidated. They don't know where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they have very lofty goals, and you have to kind of bring them back down to reality and say, we can't start there. Let's start somewhere, easier.
Right.
And so it's about finding a balance between what they want and what's realistic. And I think that's where it's a good starting point.
Right. And in putting your best foot forward, which is the theme for today, you have to, nutrition is great. And so I'm glad that you said that you refer them to a nutritionist, Charlotte. And then knowing, what they need to do to make sure that their body can absorb the food that they're eating, is another great point. And then to look our best by having a personal stylist. Now, if you, Mario, were going to be my trainer, how would I find you?
You would just check on the internet, search physicalculturela.com.
physicalculturela.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on the internet, and then I'd find you.
You would indeed.
Okay, and then Charlotte, if I were looking for you to train me, where would I look? How would I find you?
My website is letsweat.com.
Letsweat.com. I like it. Okay, and then Daniel, how would I find you if I were looking for someone to style me?
You can reach out to me on Instagram. It's at DanielLock_. So DanielLock_.
Underscore.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. So when we are looking for physical fitness, or we're looking for a stylist who can make us look our best, then I think these three people are a great combination. Ladies, you might want to reach out to Charlotte, and you can bring your kids too, and they can get physically fit and moving. Because I think a point that you made, Mario, was when you said, we start out kind of being able to abuse our bodies. That sets a pattern.
Agreed.
It sets a pattern. If we're not, athletes, it sets a pattern for how we eat, how we sleep, what we intake into our bodies. It sets a pattern. And sometimes that pattern's a little bit hard to break if it's over a number of years.
Oh my gosh. It's more than a little bit hard to break. It is one of the more formidable challenges I think most people face, because there's so much inertia that's, set against you when you're trying to change your habits. I give a lot of credit for people who stand up and try.
Because you're looking at bad food all day long. Every commercial is about bad food. Every billboard is about bad food, right?
It really is.
You walk into every restaurant, bad food, So you're getting inundated and saturated with this bad food, and then you want to walk out and have Daniel style you, right? And something cute and hot, and it's not that easy. So I wanted to ask all of my guests, well, I'll start with the two physical trainers. What are some of the biggest challenges you see people face when it comes to staying fit? Now, once you've gotten them fit, what is the challenges that you see in them staying fit?
I would say, in my experience, in order to get what you want and to be able to keep what you have, it unfortunately is requiring more and more time and effort, simply because there are so many things that are, like you just mentioned. I mean, the entire world around you is sort of conspiring, if you will.
Against you.
Yeah. I mean, it may sound paranoid, but if you really have an understanding, a good context, and I would encourage your listeners to search endocrine disruptors or hormone disruptors. You can find a bunch of information about that, of hormone disruptors that are in food, they're in water, that are in plastics that we touch, handle. If you microwave things, you're absorbing those through your skin. Even Wi-Fi is now being suspiciously regarded as something that may be an endocrine disruptor. And how do you avoid all this stuff? I don't know. I spend time every week calling the internet, trying to learn more about this and have an informed opinion if I don't have necessarily a final solution. But if you really want to keep what you have to, in my opinion, assume sort of an aggressive stance of self-defense. Right. Otherwise, you are bringing a knife to the proverbial gunfight.
Wow. And what do you think, Charlotte?
As you get older, you just have to do more.
You have to be more focused on your health.
Yeah.
Become a little bit more selfish. And I know with women, we have a hard time with that, because there are so many different things that we are involved in, from, daycare to soccer to, as a mother of young children, you're involved in all these activities for the kids, and then there's the husband, and then your work. And then so you have all this going on, and you tend to, because we're nurturers by nature, neglect the most important member of that cast of characters, which is you, because if you go down, the ship goes down. Everyone is, depending on you to be strong and healthy, right? So, and then Mario, like you said, with men, their worst enemy is probably trying to, climb that corporate ladder and get to success, or whatever they deem as success. And there's nothing wrong with that, because I talk about building wealth and being successful and the things that you need to do to get there. But along with that, the reason I wanted to do this show was to talk about your health, talk about your appearance, talk about some of the other parts of that scope that may get missed. And we don't want you to get to a wealthy state and not be in a healthy state, and not look as wealthy as you are, because you've seen some hot messes, I'm sure, Daniel.
Some big messes.
Right? Because people just are not negligent of their appearance, because they're chasing this, the almighty dollar. So we want to keep things balanced, I think. What do you guys think?
Well, in today's world, too, everybody's essentially a brand, like it or not, I think, right? And so I see the
True.
value in what you offer. I mean, whether you are marketing to the masses or to the
That's
people in
right.
a small room, you have to have a congruent message. Or, like you said, I've run into people who, quite wealthy and, they look like...
Right, you
they
don't
look like
want,
they got dropped off at the Salvation Army.
Right, right. And I mean, you don't have to have on the, $500 pair of shoes.
No.
But you need to look neat and clean and well put together because your appearance, that's what people are going to see first, right?
I
I think
agree.
I'm going to have to save that one. Neat, clean, and well put together. That's a
Neat,
good motto.
Clean and well put together.
That's a good
Because you
motto.
know how many people miss that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Daniel,
Yes.
what are some of the benefits of dressing well? I think we mentioned a few, but I'd like you to tell us some more.
I think, again, confidence. And then, like we just spoke, I think you get treated a little differently if you are put together and
Right.
clean and neat and you look like you care. I think putting in a little bit of effort can go a long way.
Look like you care.
Look like you care. Dress like you mean it. Especially today, I think we're so casual, which that's just fine. But I think in certain occasions, it's okay to dress up, and it's good to put forth the effort. Tom Ford once said, "Dressing well is a form of good manners," and I completely agree.
I like that. I like that. You're having lunch with the Finance Bunch, and this is Miss Charlene. And I have in the studio audience with me today, I have Mario Ostios, and Mario is with Physical Culture LA. And his gym is over in West LA. And we have Charlotte Godby.
Godby,
And she is with Sweat Fitness in Pasadena. And then we have the man who's going to make us look good, Daniel Locke, and he is a physical trainer. And I'd like for you guys to, I'm sorry, you're not a physical trainer. You
I
are
should
a
be.
personal stylist. You should be, huh? You're
I
a
need one.
personal stylist. But if someone wanted to get in contact with you guys, I just want to make sure that your contact information gets out there. How would we reach you, Mario?
PhysicalCultureLA.com.
And how would we reach you, Charlotte?
LetSweat.com.
And Daniel?
We can hang out on Instagram. You can find me at DanielLock _ DanielLock _.
Great. Now, Daniel, when someone comes to you, do you do like a consultation, like a 30-minute consultation or something like that with them, or?
Yes, usually it'll start either over the phone or in person, and it can be a half hour, and we'll discuss their needs and their goals, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. And then what about you, Charlotte? When they come in to see you, is there like a
It's an hour consultation.
1-hour consultation? Okay. And Mario?
I call it the Come to Jesus.
Mario's tough.
I call it tough love. I've tried to do the soft touch. I'm just not very good at it, and I go with what's effective. So.
Right.
If somebody wants to see me, I'll usually have a biomechanical screen. It's sort of like it's like an orthodontist would check the alignment of your teeth. Same thing, just doing everything from the neck down with the muscles and joints to screen for potential problems. And I'll find out what they want. We'll find out where they're at. We'll do like little skin pincher things. Charlotte knows what I'm talking about, the calipers and pictures. And then we'll find out what they're willing to do and split the difference between the two.
Oh, usually what they want to do and what you want them to do is a huge valley in between.
Well, it's what they want and what they're willing to do. They may want, for example, I want to be 3% body fat, and then you show them what's good that's going to take, and they go, well, let's shoot for 8. And that's totally okay, in my opinion. I think you just want to find the sweet spot between what you want and what you're willing to do. It's about lifestyle. If you don't chase a goal so that it owns you. You want to own the goal, rather.
I think, you know what, I like that you said that, because I think the apprehension in some cases, I know I was talking to some people before you guys came on, and I wanted to know what, I'm going to have 2 physical trainers on, and I want to know what you guys are looking for. And I think that was the general consensus, is that, people want to get healthy, but they feel like they don't want to sacrifice their entire life to get healthy. They want to be physically fit, but they don't want to spend all of their time on fitness. So there has to be a healthy balance, but you have to start.
Yeah, you have to start. And as much as I can, Charlotte, what we want to do is we want people to experience success in some degree as quickly as possible, to feed their confidence, to feed their competence, and give them the willingness to take the next step when that time comes.
Right. You're having lunch with the Finance Bunch. This is Miss Charlene, and I have these 3 perfectly fit people. So there must be something to this, right? Perfectly fit people and professionals in our studio, and we're talking about putting your best foot forward. And we have a personal trainer, Daniel, and we have 2 physical trainers, Charlotte and Mario, and we're talking about putting your best foot forward. As wealth builders is what we're trying to accomplish. We need to not only have, that security of our financial well-being, but we also have to have our physical well-being, and we shouldn't look like we just crawled out of bed. We should have some semblance of a nice appearance when we get to where we're going, and Daniel's going to help us with that, aren't you, Daniel?
I will do my best.
You're having lunch with the Finance Bunch. If you want to, we also we'll have this on video, so you can go to YouTube and go to Lunch with the Finance Bunch and see all of my past shows and see this show and get this information again and figure out how to contact these professionals and get them to help you on your road to looking your best. I certainly think it's a worthwhile goal, personally.
I agree.
Yeah, and so I wanted to get to the entrepreneurial side of things with you, if you don't mind, because, what people don't realize is that you are each your own individual. Some might not understand that you're your own individual businesses. Each one of you have your own business. And so, Mario, what made you decide to be an entrepreneur? What made you decide to take that leap of faith?
Let's see. I got fired.
Okay, that's a lot of times how it starts.
It wasn't necessarily a grand vision or something that came out of the clouds for me, in any case.
Okay.
I was working in this industry, kind of working my way through school at the time, and there were some changes at the place I was working at, and we basically ended up getting fired. And in retrospect, I kind of looked back. I remember it happened on a Friday. And looking over the weekend, I thought, I'm kind of already doing my own thing.
Right.
It was like the element of employment, at least in my case, was something of a formality, really. Mm-hmm. And I'm already doing all the hustling to get people. I'm already doing all of the scheduling for myself, et cetera. What's the difference? And so for me, I fell into this. I was pursuing different things in school, and I was using my current avocation as a way to get through school. And then I just one day looked up and I thought, am I already making as much or more money as they're telling me I'm going to have if I finished? So I just kind of stuck with it and haven't really had a real job in over 20 years. And I've got no plans to get one now, having had a taste of my own freedom and the extra responsibility that comes along with it, because it is. There is a little more that goes into it. But to me, it's worth it. It suits me. I would not be inclined to change.
Right. But I think you said something that was really important. You said you were pretty much already doing it.
Yeah.
And so really the catalyst for change for you was that, that paycheck stopped. And you're like, wait, I'm already doing this. Why not continue at a different level? Yeah.
And my personal opinion on this, having talked with many friends of mine and clients I have as well, many of them being self-employed or small business owners, employment, it's not what it was.
That's right.
The promises, the implied elements of that professional contract have changed so much that I I know more of the people I know, especially the younger people now. They almost tend to consider themselves mercenaries. They'll work one place for a little while, then another place, and then they take their cache of gold and their weapons and they go on to the next place. You know, and that's quite different from my father's generation, where you would fall on your sword for the company for 40 years and get a gold watch and golf clubs.
Exactly.
Those days are done.
Completely done, and they get a pension and a Social
not
Security
anymore.
check and keep
No more risk. Yeah.
Those days are gone. So that's why I encourage young people, people of any age really.
I agree.
To find your passion and start working on it.
I
and
100%
you look
agree.
up and you're a business owner.
Yeah.
Charlotte, how about you? What was your driving force for becoming a business owner?
Well, it was just the next step after being at a gym for a couple of years, like I guess about 8 years. I was in LA, I was in New York, and I had the opportunity to open my own studio, so I just went ahead and did it. It's actually my personality to keep doing different things, so
You're very successful at it too.
I'll
by the
do
way.
something. I'll do something else that's kind of crazy.
Right, but it suits you well because you're very successful, Charlotte. So that side of it, being adventurous has worked well for you. And then Daniel, what made you decide to pursue this as a career and to be your own boss?
I think the entrepreneurial spirit's kind of in my blood. My family back home in Arkansas owned a business for 82 years, and so I grew up working in the family business and seeing my dad, be the first man in the door and the last man to leave, really ingrained in me to have a strong work ethic, and just how important that is. That's something that can't be taught in school. It has to be learned on the job, working with your hands. And so I owe a lot to him and to the family for teaching me that. And I think that's one of the driving forces.
Now, okay, another question that I bring up to my guests also is that, people have these fears, these built-in fears of stepping out and doing things. And so did you experience that when you became an entrepreneur? Did you go through that fear factor? And if so, how did you overcome it?
Perhaps for a moment, and personally my situation, but the way I overcame it was not with content, but with context. So I just had a different my context changed, how I saw things and what I could expect out of a more traditional path. Were I to make the attempt to get into corporate America and all that sort of stuff, I just didn't see that as really delivering as much as maybe it had in the past or would in the future. So I know I can certainly understand where a lot of people are coming from. Sometimes they're afraid about leaving their job.
And you don't have to leave your job all at
no,
once.
No.
Don't just jump out the window,
Good
right?
Lord,
just
no. No.
Kind of pursue your passion, find out what it is, get started.
Yeah.
But you might have to do both.
You might have to do both.
And
be adventurous. Like
That's
Charlotte.
right, like Charlotte.
But don't be reckless.
Well,
Right.
I was a waitress when I started, a waitress and a trainer.
Right.
And I was very effective.
And you make the transition.
Right. Yeah, you make the transition. And being a waitress, you have, the hours that you're going to be at work.
Exactly.
And then you can, physically train people on those off hours, which usually works to your advantage anyway, right?
Yeah,
so
I agree.
did you go through a fear factor, Charlotte? Were you nervous when you actually walked away from that waitress job and walked away from that?
Well, I walked away from it long before I actually...
Charlotte is brave. She's up here going, oh.
No, I actually, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much. So
Yeah.
I'd walked away from it for, a while.
Yeah. But you know what? That brings up a great point because, sometimes we're in jobs that are so stressful that are not beneficial to us really in the long term financially either.
I agree.
But we're just holding on to it because it's like a security blanket, right? a security blanket that we may not always, if you get away from it, you wind up not needing it in some cases. In some cases, you hold on
Right.
to that security blanket because, you're afraid to do anything else.
Security blanket with holes in it.
A security blanket with big holes in it, Mario. Absolutely. Daniel, what do you think? Were you, I know you come from an entrepreneurial background because of your family, but, once you got out here, and because you moved here from Arkansas. And
Yes, ma'am.
when did you do that?
About 2.5 years ago.
Okay. And were you a little bit nervous, or how did that go for
yes.
you?
I had never been to LA before until I moved out here. I'd been to California, but not to LA. And so it was a big transition moving from a very small town in Arkansas. But so of course there was that fear factor of, am I going to get a job? Am I going to have any friends there? So yeah, it was definitely, there were many days and many weeks of fear.
How did you get past that?
I think just powering through and persevering through. There's so many trials and tribulations in life, and it's just important to kind of buckle down and be like, I can get through this, and you do get through it.
Right. So you kind of talked yourself into it. Like, I can make it. This is one step at a time. Make it.
Because I'm not going back to Arkansas yet.
Just to visit.
Just to visit.
That's right. Not to live.
Correct.
Yeah, I felt like that when I moved here from New York. I felt, there wasn't anything wrong with living in New York, but that's not where I wanted to be. I did not like the weather. I don't care about 4 seasons. I want 2 seasons, warm and hot, right? So I packed myself up and moved to LA, and you make it work, and you do. You have, those fears, but I think our passion has to be stronger than our fear.
I agree.
That's the defining characteristic of this city.
Right. Passion versus fear.
Everybody, all the I'm a transplant myself, so.
And so, Mario, where'd you come from?
I was living in Florida
Okay.
before I moved here, and my decision to move here was probably a little reckless, rather than adventurous. But to the point of how do you get past the fear, or how do you get past the challenges? I just saw the alternatives were worse.
Right.
Right. There wasn't necessarily some, vein of courage running through. Like I got this, charging the hill with a sword and a shield. I just looked at it and it was like, man,
I better stay here.
yeah, I got a tidal wave at my back and I got the beach in front of me. I'm running through the sand. I'll figure it out later. So.
That's great.
And,
Charlotte, what about you? Are you a native Californian, or
I
where
am
are you
not.
from?
I'm from New York.
Okay.
I
Did you get tired of the cold weather?
no. I just
No?
wanted to try it.
Charlotte is just
Like that.
adventurous. She's like, boots to the ground. I'm heading out. Never mind all this fear stuff. I'm heading for California, and I'm going to do my thing. No, that's really great, because I know, like I said, a lot of the feedback that I get from people when I'm, talking or from the radio show is the feedback that I get is that people want to know, how do you take that first step to becoming an entrepreneur? And it just takes sometimes, like Mario said, the tidal wave behind you and the beach in front of you, just, go for
Just
it,
run through the sand.
Just run through the sand, or
Run
like
through the
Charlotte,
sand. It might be hot, but run through the sand.
Charlotte's fearless. She's over here just fearless, boots to the ground. I'm going to do this next, and then this. And that's a great way to be, because really, fear is inside your own head. It's that dark and scary place that we go sometimes that we just shouldn't spend a whole lot of time. We should spend more time just, because when you put one foot in front of the other, I believe, as you know, we'll get there. It's just getting started. And so, Daniel, in the 2 years that you've been here, what do you see has been one of the best things that, taking this leap of faith has done for you?
I think I've met some very incredible people through work. I've been very fortunate to work with some incredibly talented stylists and talent. My first foray, I guess, into wardrobe styling was the season 12 American Idol finale. And so
Ooh.
going from 0 to 100 miles an hour was quite the experience, and something that I'll have stories forever to tell.
That's
to tell.
right. That's right. So since you work more, like you said, on commercials and in film, and so being on set, that has to be a very exhilarating experience, I would say.
It is.
And so do you have to, or what do you exactly do on set? Like, are you dressing both men and women? Are you picking out, what do you do?
You name it, I probably will do it.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the commercial and the client, and also the actors. I can start from the very beginning and start doing the pulling and the prepping. We can pull from different department stores, or we'll go to different costume houses and pull things from there. But the best part is the shopping, because the shopping.
You get paid to shop.
I do.
I love that.
So most recently on a commercial, we had to buy sunglasses for the principal actor, and they of course want designer sunglasses. So I was able to take a corporate card and bought $7,000 worth of sunglasses,
Wow.
which was fun.
You know what? I'm just so envious right now. $7,000 worth of sunglasses.
And it really wasn't a whole lot of sunglasses either. Which was
Right.
Wow.
But what a way to spend your day shopping and using other people's money and being entertained by it, right? Because if you love to shop, you must, because you wouldn't be a personal stylist if you didn't.
Mhm.
Enjoy shopping and, looking at clothing
Mhm.
and sunglasses and purses and all that and bags from, men and women. So they can't get any better than that.
It's pretty fun. I'm very grateful.
What's great about this, though, is if a person does not like to shop, they
Right.
can hire
They can
you
hire
Yes.
him.
and trust that you are going to put together what they need to do. It's kind of like outsourcing that responsibility.
Exactly. I'll be
Yes.
happy to spend your money.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good because,
I hate shopping.
I was going to say,
I'm not any good at it.
not to be, to stereotype, but most men don't like to shop.
It's okay
True.
to stereotype that.
Right?
It's probably true
Most
the
men
majority of the
don't
time.
like to shop, but they don't mind looking
You
good.
still want to look good,
Right, but
You
they
just
don't wanna
don't wanna-
shop
You just
for
don't
it.
want to. You just don't want to hurt for it.
Right.
Yeah. It's kind of like the workout thing.
That's right. It's like the workout thing.
I got 20 minutes in the store and then I'm done. It's like a bomb counting down. It gets close to zero. It's like
That's
Gotta
all
go.
I need. 20 minutes, all I need.
Dude, you're gonna own this town. Own this
Exactly.
town.
Yeah, because most men do not like to shop, and women. I can only speak for myself, and Charlotte, you can speak for yourself. But I know I'm not the biggest fan of shopping. Because I'm all over the place.
Mhm.
So I have to have a specific goal in mind. I'm not one of those women who, goes to the mall and just wants to hang out and window shop and all that. I have a goal. I want to get in there, get what I want, and
Mhm.
get out. If the store is too big, that's a problem, because now my dyslexia kicks in, my inability to focus kicks in, and I'm all over the place.
Mhm.
You come out 4 hours later. At least I do. I can't speak for anybody else. I come out 4 hours later, and if I don't have what I want, I'm frustrated.
Mm.
So I would much rather have someone who I can say, this is what I'm looking for. Can you help me? And go take care of it and have the confidence that they're going to bring back things that make me look good versus me being in 5 stores all over the place and coming out sad because I didn't find anything I wanted.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah. So Charlotte, what about you? How
I like shopping.
you do like shopping?
I like shopping. I
That's
like
good.
shoes a lot.
I like shoes a lot.
Yes.
But it's a stress reliever. for
Okay.
me.
See, for
It
me,
is.
it's stressful.
I don't do it because I need something. I just like to go look at the clothes, look at the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
See?
So cool.
And see, I'm the exact opposite. I can't stand it. I
But
feel like
isn't
I'm at
that
work.
great that we have like
All
this
these
breadth
different-
and taste?
Yes.
It adds to the richness of the world. I mean, if everybody was like me, then they would have to close the stores.
Exactly.
And that's not good. And
Well,
I will concede that readily. So, to have everybody else kind of, doing that's a good thing.
Exactly. Or have someone like me in the store frantic looking for things and frustrated. You
Right.
wouldn't want 100 of me in your store either.
Right.
Well, Charlotte and I can go shopping, and then y'all can go work out.
Exactly. That's perfect.
But you got to get us our clothes later.
Okay,
Because we
deal.
got to look right.
That's right. Put it together for
That's
us,
right.
please. And another question I'd like to ask the entire panel. When you started your business, this is the other thing, the discipline that's necessary. I like to talk about that because you are your own business. You have to budget yourself. You have to put yourself in a position where, you can stay the long haul. So I'd like to talk about that a little bit, like, from a financial perspective, the listeners who want to become, business owners, what would you tell them as far as, when they are starting to make money, what did you do to sustain yourself,
Ooh, I actually have something really neat to offer on that,
Okay.
because I have struggled with that problem
Okay,
more than
okay.
once. I would say that one of the things I found useful in terms of when I was scheduling my time, especially when I was scheduling in activities that I did not want to do, and that is often the challenge
Right.
in your day. You're looking at some of the things that you enjoy, and then some of the other things that you don't enjoy, and then some of the
Yes.
other things you completely loathe,
Right.
And what'll tend to happen is you'll just not do those things at all, and maybe blow it on the internet or TV or whatever.
Right.
I would schedule that time, and then if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it. But I wouldn't do anything else. I would basically put myself in sort of a self-imposed timeout.
Okay.
So if I had a half an hour, let's say I was going to allocate to bookkeeping, which is one of my favorite pastimes.
I can tell.
And, if I just didn't want to do it, I would say, okay, I'm not gonna deny that I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So rather than fight myself, I just say, fine, I'm not going to do it. But I would just sit there for 30 minutes, and usually by about 20 minutes in, I found just sitting there was worse than just actually going and inputting the stuff. So
Right.
I think if you schedule that time, you need to maintain that time and don't let anything else creep in. I guess that's my point, is don't get sidetracked or on a tangent on non-productive activities. The time that you set aside for that, make sure that's the only thing that's happening. And if you can't do it, just sit there.
Because that'll force you to do it, because you'll see that you're wasting time.
Yes.
That's a great point.
Yes.
That's a great
Yeah,
point.
usually within a week, you're doing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you, Charlotte? What are some of the things that you
I
had to
I
discipline?
actually struggle with that still, but it just takes me hours to do my bookkeeping.
That's the
Hours
worst.
and hours when I decide to do it. But I think when it comes to all the paperwork and stuff, technology's changed.
Right.
So we can do all that stuff ourselves.
Yeah.
At first, I hired people to do it. And either they didn't do it right, and I was doing it myself anyway. So with technology, you can do it yourself or learn how to do it.
Yeah, because there are programs that
Yeah.
you can get that
Yeah.
make it so easy for you to, because that's a big part of being your own boss, is
Right.
that you have to have some type of discipline when it comes to your finances, because, it's like, it's kind of like a wave, right?
You're responsible for
you're
all of it.
responsible for everything.
You're responsible for all of it.
Yeah. So although there are advantages, there are also things that you have to do. It's not all fun and games. The part of it is taking on that budgeting aspect,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to untangle a lot, spend a lot of time untangling things. And that's what I would say was the biggest thing,
Yeah.
is like, don't hire people to do different things. But
Right. That you can do yourself. Or
Yeah.
you should take the time, like Mario said,
Take the time
that
to learn it.
that 30 minutes, that hour, or whatever it takes, because it's a responsibility. And anything you do, any business that you have, you need to be able to replace the person who's doing it for you if they don't show up, right? So the best way to do that is to do it for yourself.
It's got to get done.
Yeah, it's got to get done. And a lot of people may not have the money to hire outside people to do things right off the bat
It's an
either. They
excellent
might have
point.
to wing it for a while. So, to take and you know what? There's so much on YouTube. I mean, we're on YouTube, Lunch
Isn't
with the
that the
Finance
truth?
Bunch, but there's so much on YouTube where you could at least get started and then talk about programs that are easy and proficient, so that you can take care of your bookkeeping, because tax time comes around. And, when the rent comes around,
Yeah.
you want to make sure you're in a position to say, yes, I can, instead of, oh, God, no, I can't. Daniel, what about you? How do you maintain, with being your own business? I'm sure that you have, peaks and valleys when financial streams of money are coming in.
True. When it's good, it's good. When it's bad, it's a drought. And
Right.
so I think a lot of it is discipline, especially for me, since I love to shop and a lot of my day is spent in a department store, I'm always like, oh, that looks great. Oh, that looks good on me too. So then I have to make sure that I don't, overspend for myself, because I do like a nice cashmere sweater just like the rest of us. And so discipline is definitely key.
Definitely. But the advantage you have too, Daniel, is because you do shop so much, you probably know where all the bargains are, and
some of those I keep secret. I do. I love a good sale. I hate paying full price for things.
Yeah,
I really do.
I don't either. I don't like paying full price.
I love a good deal.
Me too. Now, as far as shoe shopping, I
Yes.
love shoes. I love shoes.
I do too.
Yeah, I love shoes. I love going. Now, that's the shopping I enjoy doing, is shoe shopping.
We'll have to go. We will go.
Definitely. So before we close, we have a few minutes left. I'd like to find out from each of you if you had one piece of advice for our listeners who are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs. What would that piece of advice be? That's an open-ended question, so you can answer it the way you want.
I would say choose something. Choose something and start small.
Okay.
Embrace the learning curve. And like Charlotte pointed to, don't spend your money when you can actually leverage your time and effort through things like technology. Like you mentioned, things on YouTube. There are so many ways now to be able to create a message, to get it out there, to put together whatever goods or services you're going to do. Use innovation in your marketing, your networking, and start small.
Yes.
And let it grow as you grow, as you develop a skill set. You gotta think about it like the way you would going to college.
Right.
Give yourself 4 or 5 solid years to develop a skill set and some experience, and then the competence comes, and then the confidence follows.
Right. You're listening to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. I'm Miss Charlene, and we are on Accelerated Radio. And you can see us on YouTube at Lunch with the Finance Bunch. And we're on every Friday from noon to 1 o'clock. Every Friday you can have lunch with us and talk about topics that may be something you're interested in. And so I'd love to have you listen in. And now, Charlotte, what do you think? What is some advice you'd like to give someone on this segment about putting your best foot forward, as our listeners want to know about what advice you would give them as a starting business? What advice would you give?
Talk about it. Tell everyone you know about it,
Okay.
about your plan or your business.
Right. Yes. Talk about it. And networking. That's a big one. Networking is a big one. And talking about it, like you said, once you get started, tell everyone you know. That creates more business revenue for you. I'm sure as a physical trainer, everyone needs a physical trainer, whether they know it or not. Either to maintain what they've got or get them to the point where they are where they want to be. And Daniel, what would you say?
I would say don't give up, because there are those times when you're like, oh, wow, I have no money and, I don't know what I'm doing. But I would just say don't give up, persevere, stay in there, and keep going.
That's cool. Persevere and keep going. That's a great one. I feel the same way. Perseverance is a big deal to me. And I try to encourage our listeners to don't give up, persevere, network, talk about it, put your best foot forward, and make sure that whatever you do, have a passion about it. That's the only way you'll overcome the fear or the hard work or doing the task that you don't necessarily want to do, right? Is to have a passion for the business that you're in at the end of the day, because that's what will help you keep going and get out of that scary place in your head called fear. That's what'll get you past all of that. I want to thank you guys for coming in today and sharing time with us and having lunch with the Finance Bunch. I really appreciate it. And Mario, one more time, I'd like you to give me your information so that all the listeners who want to put their best foot forward physically, where they can reach you.
Yes, Ms. Charlene, thank you for your time today. You can find me at physicalculturela.com.
Thank you. And Charlotte?
Let'sSweat.com. Thanks so much.
Sweat.com. And Daniel,
Yes.
how can we reach you?
You can reach out on Instagram. It's at DanielLock_, DanielLock_.
And Daniel's going to take us shopping.
Yes. Right now.
Right now. We're going shoe shopping right now.
Perfect.
And we're having lunch with the Finance Bunch. I'm Miss Charlene, and in closing, I'd like to say I really enjoyed having these guests on my show. I think you can learn a lot from them. If you're looking for a physical trainer, reach out to Charlotte or Mario. If you're looking for someone to style you and make you look fabulous in your clothes, male or female, reach out to Daniel, and he will definitely take you on that shopping trip, and he'll love to help you spend your money on clothes, won't you, Daniel?
I certainly will.
You're having lunch with the Finance Bunch. This is Miss Charlene. You can find me on Accelerated Radio /ARP, and I'm on every Friday from noon till 1 every Friday. And you can also see me on YouTube, and that's Lunch with the Finance Bunch. Just go to Lunch with the Finance Bunch and you'll see all of our prior shows. Thank you so much for being here with me, ladies and gentlemen, and I look forward to seeing you again. I'd love for you guys to come back and tell me how things are going with your businesses.
Fantastic.
Thank you.